All right, we're going to talk about Chris Bledsoe in this April 2026 prediction. I'm actually going to show you the actual clip, a short, of exactly what he said. That's coming up here shortly, and I'm going to review it with you because not only I'm going to show the clip, but we're going to prove that he sees this lady that shows up mostly every year, I guess every year, to give him information, predictions, and things that are going to happen. Of course, you probably know about the most famous one, and that's the Regulus star, that when it shows up, a new knowledge will appear. Now, there's been debate. Was it April 2026? Is it October? Why are we giving those two dates? And we're going into it right now because you're seeing this on Good Friday. I'm going to tell you what he said because it's not over, and it'll be interesting to see if she appears to him and what happens next. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube. I am here to discuss consciousness, prophecies, predictions, spirituality, and science because they're all one thing. And we're going to talk about Chris Bledsoe today. I've talked about him quite a few times because I think he's the real deal. Well, NASA and the CIA and our government does. Is he being manipulated by them? Why are they so interested in him? And why are they all hanging out together? Some of you think that he's being manipulated, and let's be honest, there's a history of that going on. So we're going to address, when is this new knowledge supposed to take place? Is it an actual date? What are the other possibilities? Who is this lady in white? Now, if you're not familiar with Chris Bledsoe, well, you can watch any one of my videos about him. He was an abductee over 20 years ago. He was absolutely ridiculed for it, but he stuck to his story, sort of dropped out of society, went through some horrific things. But this lady appeared to him after he said that I refuse to talk about this thing that happened to me. I refuse to talk about it. It's ruined my life, because apparently he was not able to film anything. They would always disappear as soon as he's got the camera out to prove that he does see orbs and beings and whatever else happens. Well, that's when she appeared. It was Easter many years ago. I'll try and find that date for you, but she started appearing. And when she appeared, she told him things that would be happening. Now, he's just now sharing a lot of those things, probably not everything. He said that when the missiles from Iran and Iraq fire off, that these events would take place. But now he's saying, and I have that interview with Ross Coulthart and him, he's saying exactly April 2026, that she said that. So I'm going to show that to you, but we're going to talk about what this event is that's happening and what happens to kick it off. Well, that's when we talk about that star of Regulus. Well, there's a big debate right now because the Easter 2026 date was originally calculated by NASA computers based on Bledsoe's description of Regulus. But many astronomers say the math doesn't line up perfectly for Easter Sunday. Now, she said when the red star Regulus, was his a quote, when the red star Regulus aligns with the Sphinx at dawn, there will be a new knowledge. The divine feminine will kick in. Some apparently big event, which obviously she's talking about a frequency, knowledge. I'm now going to talk more about consciousness because you and I are the co-creators. We are actually facilitating that. But she named a specific event. Now, in this video clip, and you'll see it pop up, he says Easter of 2026. He actually says that. And he says that she said it was going to happen then. Well, the astronomers are finding out that it's actually October, I believe it is the 7th, that they said that that event will happen. Where are we now? Between a rock and a hard place. So here's what I want to focus on today. Not when that's actually going to happen, but what is going to come in via our frequency And is she going to appear to him again this Easter? That he never predicted. She does show up, but he doesn't know for sure. She did not say if she was going to show up or not. If she does, I suspect that he will have more information for us regarding that. Well, let's talk about why the date doesn't matter. Well, you hear me talk about Edgar Cayce in many, many videos that he predicts events but never dates. Why? The consciousness creates the event. The seer, he who has the prophecy, sees events, not dates. I had somebody who gave me predictions about 30 years ago. Unbelievable. And she said to me, I cannot see dates. I thought, what does that mean? How can you not see dates? I said, how does she know when these things are going to happen? She says, I go by what I see. So if I see you looking older, I know it's in your future. If I see you younger, I know it was something that already happened. Ah, I did not know that. Well, there is no such thing as time. If you've been up on science, and we have been talking a lot about this, everything exists simultaneously at all times. The future, the past, the present, and it all affects one another. In other words, what you and I do right now affects the past, the present, and the future. Why? Because everything is one source. Now, hang with me. This gets tough. We are one consciousness. So that means everything that we do shifts everything. And that prediction that Edgar Cayce made about these cataclysmic events can change. That's what he saw in that time period in the timeline of the future. Ah, but now, have we evaporated it? It's possible. You and I must go into the highest consciousness. And so that date, that event that this lady of light tells Chris is going to happen, is going to shake up the world. Is she going to appear again? I'm going to talk more about who she is. People are noticing that the lady Bledsoe sees shares traits with the ancient Egyptian goddess Hathor, which is associated with the Sphinx. Now, Chris actually said, and I saw him in a recent interview, a real one, not an AI one. He actually said, I'm not sure who she is. I believe she represents just the source of all, feminine, divine feminine, and all that is beautiful. He's taken his definition a little bit further now. Now you have to remember, he's a human being, so he has his own religious things going on here. And like even channelers, I tell you, watch what they say. Ego's always going to get in there. Beliefs and patterns always will be part of that. So I wanted to share with you that we need to keep an open mind if we want to allow things to form as they will, not in stone. Nothing's in stone. So let's talk about what's happening today that I'm posting this. Good Friday is the death of the old self. And of course, Easter's resurrection. It is a new beginning, a new start. And we, as energy fields consciousness, always exist. There's no death. And that Christ appeared to show that there isn't. I think that's very key here because that alone tells me that she's pulling our focus on this specific time period. Chris has said, until this debate over Regulus started up with NASA, he was told that this window, April 2026, would mark the dawning of a new knowledge. And Chris has orbs that appear. Chris has a frequency. And when his intentions are in that frequency, that hertz, he goes into agape, which is universal love. And he's able to track. Well, we've seen people with near-death experiences and who say that they've been abducted somehow have opened up a portal of that connection within the consciousness. And I believe they're getting all this information that they normally wouldn't because they've stepped outside of the confinement of the ego. That's where he resides on a very high level. I believe that she is a frequency interface. Did you see my video about Vance? Believing that all these things that appear etheric are evil? That's a construct and it's created. We must move out of fear because she represents love, the new knowledge, and the divine feminine. So on Good Friday today, billions of people are focused on transition. This collective focus creates a quantum coherence that can literally trigger the new knowledge Bledsoe speaks of. Because remember, it doesn't happen outside of us. Nothing happens separate from you. Nothing. You are connected to all of it. So when we hit these peaks of days of renewal, of worship, of joy and love, we contribute to that high frequency and we can help facilitate these very things that he speaks of. You heard me quote Federico Faggin, matter is a byproduct of consciousness. Now, Regulus, whenever it appears, is actually a blue star. But it is absolutely easy to figure out that in Egypt, particularly with all their sandstorms and things, that a blue star could appear red. I know that our star out here, our sun, was fiery red last night and many other nights. I've watched it turn into this fiery orange red. We've seen that. Of course, why not Regulus? So I'm not really getting hung up on this red shift thing. I'm just absolutely curious about actual dates and why she gave dates, because we know that Cayce didn't do that. Nostradamus didn't do it. Baba Vanga didn't do it, nor did Dolores Cannon. I use their predictions and the convergence. That means if these things actually appear and she said it and he said it and they are happening now, that's when I name a date. It's February. It's happening now. It's called a convergence. Not because they gave the dates, but because they gave events that we are creating, all right, within consciousness. This is why we must be very careful of what we believe, because if we are told something and we believe it, we create it. That fact that you're even focused on it absolutely turns the wave into a particle, which creates it in our 3D world. And for Federico Faggin, if you watch that video, brilliant man, created the microchip, decided that's exactly what's happening and that we are completely in control of what we're creating. I want you to really hang on to that, because if you are losing hope right now, you absolutely have to know that we are way beyond this physical body, that there are other things out there we can't explain and we don't need to explain them, that everything is connected in love, and that these things that appear to be evil are not separate. They are just an exploration of one energy field and all that it can be in every form, in every timeline, and beyond our imagination. We've talked about this. Why? Why would it do that? To know itself? I cannot explain this. No one can. I have one question. Why is there anything? How did source ever come into being? Anyways, it always was. That's the mind-blowing part for me. So why can't we have a new knowledge that shows up and things that align and creates the energy fields and the opportunities for us to be the co-creators to do absolutely mind-blowing things? These things you shall do and more, said Christ, and more. Are you ready for more? So we're going to use Good Friday today, not for mourning or sadness, for rendering. What's rendering? Well, Federico Faggin said, rendering isn't creating something, it's actually bringing it in existence because it already exists. All right? Let me say this again. The attention brings something into existence because it already existed, but our attention to it places it in our reality. All right? Everything exists. So we say that we create, and of course, we can use that word, but rendering means that it already existed, but then now I shine my light on it, and now it's in my reality. Everything exists. That new era, that golden era, love and light, a perfect planet, it exists. When we focus on it, the rendering comes into our reality. These are the messages from the lady, from Cayce, from everybody, except for those who are giving you messages of fear. I told you to watch that. Anything that they see is one probability of endless ones, and we're choosing which one that we bring into our reality through our focus, not necessarily that we want, but that we believe. If you tell me something and I believe it and I hate it, But if I don't realize, wait a minute, that's just one probability, and my focus will create that, it'll bring it into the reality. I can focus over here. I can focus on the divine feminine. I can focus on a new knowledge. You have this new knowledge already, by the way. The veils are going to come down more and more and more. I'm not afraid of that sun and those solar flares. I believe it's blasting us with beautiful energy. Can you turn the story around? Of course you can. So Chris is telling NASA and all these engineers and CIA analysts, what she's been saying. They're fascinated with him, and they should be. So they ran his prediction through an astronomical software. He didn't even know what the star Regulus was. He said the red star Regulus, find out that it's blue star. He didn't know that. He's never even heard of Regulus. So they run it through software. The software spit out a specific window, Easter of 2026. Bledsoe later stated that the lady confirmed that this 2026 date to him directly. And he says it in this video that pops up. NASA computers were used to find the date. It gave the prophecy a veneer of scientific inevitability. Here's what happened. Experts came back and said, that's wrong. The star Regulus is not going to show up over the Sphinx. We're really getting hung up on this, right? Instead of realizing this is a frequency that we all get to choose, we are sitting back and say, well, let's see. I'm going to be worried and in fear, but I'm just going to wait for that star Regulus to show up, and the new knowledge, you have to participate in it. Yes, this is what I want to share with you today. You must go into that frequency in order to experience it, or you'll be one of these people saying to me, maybe it'll be in Easter or next year, you'll say, nothing ever happened. And well, mostly these dates have come and gone, right? All these dates have come and gone. Nothing has happened. Are we going to call out these people who predict these things? I don't know. Maybe they should stop naming dates. Maybe they just should do what Cayce did. Say the mind is the builder. You can change it all. And that's what I truly believe, because, as I said earlier, there is no such thing as time. All exists simultaneously. So experts are saying NASA blew it. They gave the date of Easter was a misinterpretation or a frequency marker rather than an astronomical one. That there may be something very profound happening. There are going to be some big changes. I'm going to ask you right now to never lose your sight of that beautiful reality. You and I will create it together. Do not lose your hope or your faith. Because as the Bible states, you have to know it is done. And that's not just the Bible, it's in many, many books. Know it is done. That's the key. That's the manifestation key to everything. Know it is done. Because when I know it is done, you say, well, but these things are happening out here. Well, they're going to continue to happen. If you focus on them and say, it's horrible, I don't like this, you have to change it by seeing the change, by being the change, by knowing that that reality's now in your midst and that this will catch up with it. That's that gap of time where you can lose your faith and say, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get well. I'm never going to become abundant. I am. I am that. I am. Do not lose your faith. This Easter, we're going to go into a transition for sure, because we are in a different consciousness right now. Do you feel it? The world is talking differently. But then we've got people like J.D. Vance that says it's evil and there's Satan, and he's going to put fear in people who might be more religious driven, who think that if he says it, it must be because he's a religious man. That's the old world. We have to see it for that. So don't be afraid of it, nor criticize it. We're all equal. We all have the ability to step into light. And he says that his fear is that people don't believe in Satan anymore, that they believe that there isn't a Satan. Oh, why does he fear that? Why? Well, we know why. Because as soon as we come out of fear, no one can control us. If we fear Satan, then we can be easily manipulated. I want you to remember that. All right? So be cautious about what you decide to believe in. So this massive focus on resurrection, the massive human battery, provides the energy to trigger a shift. Will it happen? Those of us who think there is still something very powerful going on during this time period, whether it's the lady or with Chris Bledsoe or not, I do believe it is happening. And I'm hoping that she appears and that he will have something fun and beautiful to tell us. She may have some things that maybe aren't so pleasant, but as I share with you in every video, those things must dissolve. That means the collapse of things. That means disruption. And it's going to be a little uncomfortable because it's the world we knew, but it's not the world we want to live in. I'm just going to talk briefly about who she is because we always want to name things. I believe she represents everything, as does Chris Bledsoe. He describes her as a radiant, ancient, and deeply maternal. In 2026, researchers have linked her directly to Hathor, the goddess who stands behind the Sphinx. The only person who's seen this lady is Chris Bledsoe, so only he can say. But in the Gnostic texts, Sophia is the divine wisdom that fell into matter and is now trying to lead us back to the source. What's her intention? It's not to rule us, but to protect us from our own fear. Chris says she warned him that if humanity views the phenomenon as evil, we will set ourselves on a path to ruin. This is very important. Her presence is a frequency shield against the fear narrative she's telling us. There is nothing to fear. So let's talk about her true invitation. Her intention is for you to realize that you are a sovereign creator. She's telling us that we are doing everything and that these things will come to pass and they are still choices. The call to action for you is today. Don't look for a sign in the sky. Look for her intention in your own heart. Are you ready to stop being a machine and start being an observer? What's the observer effect? When you place your focus on something, you create, right? I focus on fear, anger, separation, judgment. I'm creating. Our focus as creators is everything, and that is consciousness. I'm creating. Unconsciousness is when you create without knowledge behind it. So this is where the knowledge will come into play. So is it possible this won't happen? Well, if the April date is the opportunistic window, if the human collective is too fragmented, too much fear-based, demon talk, the software simply waits for the next physical cycle. Dates are relevant to him. He has a direct recurring communication with a presence that has existed since the dawn of our species. Will it be fun to see if she shows up? Chris will let us know, I'm sure. But I saw that video and he specifically said that she said April of 2026. If it doesn't happen, did we create that? Were we the reason? Of course, the answer is yes and no, because you alone don't stand as the decision maker. It's the collective, the contribution. But you do affect your own reality. You are the co-creator in this consciousness. And the rendering of what you desire will come into your reality. The more you focus on it, we're going to talk more and more about that. And those of you who would like to join my Conscious Creator Vault, it's a monthly membership. It's affordable. And you can go in there and learn how to transform the you that you're attached to that limits you. Start to live sustainably in a creative way that opens up your energy fields and conscious contribution. Start to contribute to that new world. Those of you who are in the vault, you will be invited to my private member channel talk on Sunday. If you're a member of the vault or you're a member of my channel, we have talks in there in a safe place, and we're having some pretty amazing ones. People are sharing some stories that are so beautiful and encouraging. I encourage you to come join us. What are you doing to contribute to this new world? Your frequency counts in every area. I invite you to step into a new world. Let us see what happens this beautiful weekend. And you might be watching this way past Easter, and you might already know. Well, then we'll look to the coming weeks because there are more predictions coming up, including August. and October. We're going to talk more about that. I'm going to talk more about consciousness, how you and I can transform anything. That's our mission. Please subscribe. Give this a thumbs up if you like it. And that tells YouTube, yes, I want more of this. And therefore, the algorithms shift into positivity, not those threats and fear-based predictions. Those are just one possibility. Do you believe it? You get to create yours. You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Chris, wherever you are, we love you no matter what. And the lady, may we all see her presence and experience her beauty. Namaste.